Crypto bulls are feeling nothing but good vibes into the weekend as the space has lit up this week amid the launch of several or a few new Bitcoin-focused ETFs. So what's next for prices and the industry? For that, we're joined by Dan Morehead, Pantera Capital's founder, CEO, and co-chief investment officer. Dan, good to see you again here. I really enjoyed your latest investor note, and you write right off the top that this could be a new price era for Bitcoin. So within that era, where do you see prices going?
Yeah, so the Bitcoin market has had some fairly regular four-year cycles based on the four-year halvings. And that, in our opinion, concluded in April. We had a 55% bear market, and we started a new bull market in July. Bitcoin has had a compound annual growth rate of 233% for 11 years. So I can see Bitcoin doubling or tripling each of the next few years.
Dan, I know that folks within the Bitcoin world love to look at that four-year cycle and look at charts very closely. We talk about that with our Jared Blickery, who is our markets editor here as well. I'm curious, though, from a fundamental perspective, what will account for those types of gains, aside from just the desire for more market participants to get in on price appreciation?
You know, it is as simple as supply and demand, that every 4 years they cut the supply. And every 2 years, the number of people using Bitcoin has gone up 10x. And it's been doing that for 10 years. So the number of people using Bitcoin has gone up 5 orders of magnitude over 10 years. And the price of Bitcoin has gone up exactly 10x, exactly every 2 years as well. That makes a ton of intuitive sense to me. And I can see a couple of years from now, 1 billion people using Bitcoin, and the price being, in the hundreds of thousands per Bitcoin.
Hey Dan, Brian Cheung here. So wanted to ask about just the specific catalyst of this Bitcoin Futures ETF. Obviously, that's been a big catalyst for the rise that we saw just this week. But it seems like with that, well, now we have the Valkyrie product coming out, but really it was just the ProShares ETF for the last few days, that maybe all the money that's coming in here is not because it's the ProShares Bitcoin Futures ETF, but it's all the optimism over a Bitcoin spot ETF coming out at one point, all these other types of products that can offer exposure coming out at some point. So what's the approach here when it comes to buying and selling on this type of news as we look forward to what might be the next steps when it comes to these types of products?
I think, keeping it in context that these are just more convenient ways to get people access to cryptocurrency. And so it just brings more people into the markets. The thing to remember, though, is Bitcoin has been appreciating at a fairly steady rate for 11 years. A couple things like a futures ETF, give it a short-term pop. But in terms of the big picture, it's just every year we see some new way. Last year it was PayPal and Morgan Stanley going live, and now it's Bitcoin futures. There's just more and more vehicles to get people into the markets.
Dan, within your framework for a double or potential tripling in Bitcoin prices, what's your outlook for paper money?
Yeah, so paper money is the one thing that is pretty clear. They are debasing it at such a rapid rate that it is depreciating relative to everything else. And you see prices of things like stocks, gold, all going up, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency going up. But if you also look, the price of everything else, oil, copper, sugar, lumber, they're all going up. Or another perspective would be relative to each other, all of those fixed assets are, somewhat stable, and it's the price of paper money that's going down.
Dan, I think we talked to a lot of crypto people, and they always say the price is going to go up pretty much over the long term. Is there any risk to that view at all?
Oh, there is. And you've got to keep in mind that although I think the price of Bitcoin is going to go up maybe 10x over the next 5 or 10 years, there will be some crazy bear markets. And we've had 4 bear markets in the Bitcoin history that averaged 68%. So investors really do need to have that view that don't put more money in than you could, pleasantly endure a 60, 70, 80% bear market.
You just raised a new fund this month, Dan. Where are you investing that money?
Yeah, so our historical funds were a legacy of being the first to launch each of these types of things, like a first cryptocurrency fund or first venture fund. So we have 4 separate funds, and then this new fund is an all-in-one fund. It invests across the entire spectrum, from very liquid tokens like Bitcoin and Ethereum through to early stage tokens that are not yet public, and then also venture equity. And I think it gives the best exposure to the space as a whole.
All right, we'll leave it there. Dan Morehead, Pantera Capital's founder, CEO, and co-chief investment officer. Always good to see you. Have a great weekend.